Hello everyone, welcome to Season 2 of the FuReel Podcast.
Hi everybody.
Here next to me is Sifu Guan, founder and master of Jhung Academy, and also my father.
Faja.
My name is Jhung and I'm a senior instructor here at the Academy, and this is part of what I do, talk on the podcast. So on the podcast, we talk about what we experience whilst we're teaching Kung Fu and Tai Chi, and also how it benefits our lives, and the three parts that make us whole, the mind, body, and spirit. And whilst you're listening, if you have any questions or wonderings, we have a segment where we get to answer people's questions. Jingmoers at the moment, we have had one random that I call send in a question on Instagram, which is really cool. But you can send them through to our email address so that I can read them out and sort them for myself. And that is FuReel@jingmo.com.au. That's FuReel@GINGMO.com.au. FuReel is about passion, it's about culture. It's not just about sharing a Chinese martial art, but it's about sharing the light at the end of my tunnel, and maybe this could be the light at the end of your tunnel, or you can just enjoy some really cool content, and this is FuReel. Okay, so we have a few Jingmoers who sent in some questions and wonderings. So let's talk and get straight into it. The first one's from Phoebe. I'll read out what she has wrote. And it says, I have noticed a huge difference in my body after doing daily practice, and ever since I started making a habit of doing Yilus, my lower back pain has decreased. Honestly, the best feeling. Because of this experience, I want to know how I can incorporate Tai Chi into my everyday life outside of daily practice. For instance, do you think you can Tai Chi-ify walking?
Tai Chi-ify?
Yes.
That's cool.
This query is linked to the idea of 10,000 repetitions changing the way the body moves forever. This question is for both of you, however, I would love to hear what changes Sifu has noticed since he began his journey to 10,000 Yilus.
Cool.
That's a good one.
Yeah, very good.
That's a good one. So I guess the question is there how we can incorporate the daily practice outside of...
Or Tai Chi outside of
daily practice.
Yeah.
And also what we've noticed in our body, the changes or whatnot through our practice as well.
Do you want to go first, or you?
I can answer the second one. I'm not sure about the first question, but
Sure.
What I've noticed in the changes, two that come to mind is after my trip to Dacheng-san, which I talked about last podcast as well, was I remember coming in and taking down the banners, and I had noticed that I grew, or I was able to stretch longer, for honestly, because before I went away, I had to really reach or even get a chair just to get to the top so I don't rip the banner off. Yeah. But when I came back, I noticed I didn't need a chair.
So you were able to stretch.
And I was able to be a bit stretchier there. And also my shoe size changed twice when I came back, which I know you experienced as well. But it was crazy, like after the new year, I was size 39 in our Kung Fu shoes. Then I noticed they were a bit small, so then I changed to 40, and then I was on 40 for a bit, and then now I'm 41. So I've changed two sizes, and obviously in my everyday shoes as well. So they're the two changes, noticeable, but I also noticed the changes on my body that affect me every day. I think I spoke about before, I have these kind of injuries or whatnot that I need to keep away. So I use my daily practice or my Tai Chi more because it stretches me out, where the Kung Fu is a bit explosive, and sometimes I can kink those muscles. So it helps me with my my shoulder where I'm quite sensitive and sore there when I don't practice, and also my right knee. I remember when I went to get acupuncture and stuff like that, all sorts of things, they weren't working, and I think your advice was just to do some more practice, see how I go there, and really noticed that it keeps my injuries away, it keeps my body aligned. I know in Tai Chi we always talk about alignment, and it really helps. So they're the changes I noticed.
Cool.
But I'm not sure how to, for myself, even take Tai Chi outside of daily practice.
Okay. Well, I think that being playful is really helpful.
Okay.
So when I first started practicing the Yilu, Phoebe, I wanted to use the principles of Tai Chi in everything I did, including putting the seatbelt on in the car. So I would hold my body still and then reach around and then put the seatbelt on. And then Isabella would ask me, "Daddy, what are you doing?" because I'd do it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And, pull the seatbelt down, not click it in, put it back and then back and then. And I said, I'm practicing Tai Chi, darling. She shakes her head. So then I'd do the other side, but there is no seatbelt on the other side. So she'd just laugh at me. I think being playful is really important, Phoebe. Finding every opportunity to play with your Tai Chi is really, really important. So I do the seatbelt thing. In shopping, I'll reach out for something at Coles or Woolies, and I won't just do it. I'll just go out and I'll play with don't move, rotate, yin-yang separation, stuff like that. What I notice is I see levers everywhere, and when I first noticed it, it was like a phenomenon. Like I'd look at, wow, look, there's a lever, like the thing, the trolley that we take the chairs in and out with. That's a lever. So I would go, oh, this is Tai Chi. And then there's a new trolley and an old trolley, and the old trolley is shorter, has a shorter handle, and the new trolley has a longer handle. So then I compare the two and look at the structures of it. It's just like lots of little playful things. So that's how I incorporate it outside of daily practice. I know the Parkinson's guys call our shoveling foot exercise the Tai Chi walk. And when I was first sharing it with them, like Stuart, for example, he would tell me that he would do the Tai Chi walk down corridors when he was going to, through hospital meetings and physio appointments and stuff like that. And he would do the Tai Chi walk. And the other lady's Lisa at the time, when she was practicing, was saying the same thing. So I think there's lots of opportunity for us to incorporate it, but it needs to be playful because, if we tap into, if you look at little children, like, for example, we have William, who's a toddler, and when you watch your little brother play, it's like everything has wonder. And he doesn't think about what people are thinking about him. And when he's finished using it, he just drops it. And when he wants to pick it up and do it, he'll just pick it up and do it. And then he'll see something else that's a whole lot of fun. Then he'll just drop the current thing and off he goes. But he has no concept of judgment. Nobody's looking at me. I'm in wonder with life, and I'm enjoying life. I'm playing. And I think that's what's really important in Tai Chi. And for me, that's what I've noticed that I've been able to tap into.
Yep.
So I think that I hope that answers your question. The other thing are the changes in the body. So there are physical changes. I noticed there are physical changes and there are mental changes for me. I too used to have a back issue. You remember that time we went to Exmouth during the Skills for Life program, we were seeing Jamie, and I had to lie down. I couldn't actually go to classes and teach the classes. I had to lie on the couch in the motel or the house that we rented. And at that time, the students were graduating and they'd finished their grading ceremony, and we had a big performance on for Exmouth town. I couldn't be there for the dress rehearsals or anything. I had to lie flat. I could not stand up. It was that painful. And it was regular trips to the physio, regular acupuncture. Everything worked for a few months, and then it all come back again. But I actually can't. That's week 90 for me this week. And I actually can't remember when was the last time that I had back pain. And generally my back pain is related to tiredness. I'm tired, I'm really tired. I'm so tired now when I'm editing the videos at the Daily Practice Project for the students. If I stop using my thumbs, because I edit it on my phone, if I stop using my thumbs, I literally fall asleep. And I wake myself up hearing myself snore and go again. So I'm clearly tired, but my back has no issues whatsoever. You're right, shoe size has changed, and I checked with a friend of ours, Rose, Rose, and she's been practicing yoga for 25 plus years. And I said to her one day, is this normal? My feet really hurt. I think I've gone up in shoe size. When you practice yoga, does stuff change in your body? And she said, oh yeah, there's this, what happens is the body lets go, And it's very similar to the same process that women go through in childbearing and childbirth. A hormone is released to relax the body so that they can give birth to a child. And so in our practice, what I've noticed is that that's happening. Like, I don't know how much more is going to happen. Like, it's happened, but I think it's still happening because my feet, these last 2 weeks, my right foot's been really painful, and it's the discomfort of the shoes. But I'm already up a size, so I normally wear size 41. Now I'm wearing size 42. So that's happening. I know my shoulders don't click as much. My back doesn't hurt. My legs are always hot. I don't know about you. Like, last night after practice, it's like I couldn't wear long pants around my legs. I'm just feeling hot all the time. So that's from a physical perspective. From how that works in my Kung Fu is I've noticed that my Kung Fu has changed as well. I don't know if you've noticed it.
Yeah, same. I was going to make note of it. I was going to talk about it after you.
Okay. Well, my Kung Fu has changed, and I noticed that because I'm doing so much more now because of the daily practice project. I'm virtually touching base with every aspect of our curriculum on a daily basis because we have so many Jing mowers who are involved in the daily. Actually, Phoebe, you might want to get involved too in a daily practice project doing Kung Fu and Tai Chi, and the questions and the areas that everyone's touching in on are like right from I'm 2 weeks into my Jingmo journey and I'm a total beginner through to people who've been practicing all their adult lives. So I've noticed that because I'm revisiting everything, I get to see and notice myself do the techniques, do the drills, and talk about what I'm seeing. And my Kung Fu has changed. It's improved. I'll just say that it's improved. There are many elements to it, but it's overall better. I don't need to warm up anymore. Prior to the 90 weeks, there would always be a warm-up period for me when I'm practicing my Kung Fu because it's, like you said, because it's so explosive, you really want your body to be ready. But I've noticed that that's not necessary even through winter. So they're the physical things. Mental, emotional, huge shift. Huge, Phoebe. It's like it totally has transformed the way I experience the world. I have the same pressures as anybody, and like today with Simo, we were talking about our family dynamics and our parents and what does that mean to our children and who's missing out on what and all the rest of it. And our family is as complex as any other family. And I watch how, I guess, the transformation is that I'm very clear about negativity or the opposite, being positive. And it enables me, through the daily practice enables me to really, I wouldn't even say cope. Coping is like right at the end when it's just so much pressure that I have to cope with it. My threshold for needing to cope is so much higher now. I still get there. Like Monday was one of those days. Wednesday, yesterday was one of those days when, like in the morning, I said to you, right, I've got this email I've got to answer. I haven't done any yilus yet. I've got to do those yilus first. We've got a meeting. I have to be on the south side by 12:30. What time do we have to leave? I was doing all of this countdown thing, and I tell you, I thought I had 3 hours work to do, but I actually only had less than half of that time available to do it in. But I still did my morning yilus. I didn't do them when I normally do them, which is at 5 o'clock, because I had the Loftus Community Tai Chi class on, the daily practice project at Loftus, and that means that I'm doing that class and then a Jing Moa straight after private lesson. So I didn't have the space. And I still did it. Like, I had to do that first before I answer the emails, before doing anything, so that my mind is clear and I have everything all in one place. And I surprised myself, because normally it would take me about 3 hours to go through all of that compliance stuff. And it's, just really tedious, very dry accounting stuff. It took me 45 minutes. And I thought, wow, that's really different. Like, I've never experienced that before. All my working life, that stuff has been like quicksand. It's, once I get in, it's so hard to get through it, and then I start sinking in it. That's exactly how I feel when I do that sort of paperwork, slog out stuff. But yesterday was so different. Like, and the only difference is that I did my Yulus immediately before. So I completed 8 Yulus immediately before answering those emails. Totally different. Like, I could even find solutions to things that I wouldn't normally have the ability to think so laterally, so going out the side and say, well, I will take this problem from this way rather than from the other way. It was really cool. I think I even said to you, wow, this is amazing. I've started using the app rather than doing it on a desktop, and it's so much faster. And normally I wouldn't even bother thinking about that, because I'd be so in that quicksand. So, they're the external and the internal changes I've noticed in daily practice. And I think that in today's world, what we talk about is wellness, and in particular, mental health is quite a topical subject, because it's something that we really don't understand very well. And particularly, I think, in Australia, Australian men, I'm Australian born, so as an Aussie bloke, even though I brought up as in a traditional Chinese family, I'm still just an Aussie bloke. And I know that it is so not blokish to be able to talk about our feelings. We just, toughen up. And, no, you don't talk about that stuff, mate. Come on, she'll be right. And then you just keep going. And, the when it comes around, when mental illness comes around, it's really out of the blue. Literally. And only on Tuesday we heard that a very close friend of one of our Jingmos committed suicide, and she found out moments before coming to class. So it's a real thing. Another Jingmo last year in his workplace had 3 people commit suicide. It's horrible, and I think it's daily practice certainly works. It is a means of being able to contain ourselves and to be able to process the things that are so difficult, and then it gives us clarity to reach out and seek help when we need it.
So, yeah, how would that relate to someone who hasn't done... I know, going off topic from Phoebe's question, noticing the changes, how would you explain that to a very new pair of ears?
What do you mean? Explain what?
Daily practice helps the mental health, or gives you that clarity, like the last few words you said.
Oh, yeah, easy.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm sure Phoebe does.
Thanks, yeah.
But,
So the rule of 3 is mind, body, spirit, the 3 parts that make us whole. And the mind is mental, the body is physical, and the spirit is emotional. Mind and body, we clearly know what we're thinking, and we can see what our body is doing. But how we're feeling, our emotional self, is often very hard to nail down. So we say here at Jingmo, what the 4 main emotions are: mad, sad, glad, scared. And we check in with each other as part of our process. How are we feeling right now? Mad, sad, glad, scared. And being able to kind of look inwards and reflect. And I like the fact that we do it first thing in the morning too. Like the guys and girls lining up here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're saying, right, how do you all feel? It's like, still waking up. Well, what are we feeling? So we kind of search inside, and when we do that, and we are able to acknowledge whether we're feeling mad, sad, glad, or scared and excited are the same feeling, we then say we're present to ourselves. and then the actual practice, thinking of the principles and the theories that we're applying. For example, when we strike out, what are we doing? If we're stretching out, what are we doing? That's the mind. So we've got the mental self activated. And then, of course, as we're doing it, we have the physical self. So the mind is based around the philosophies, the principles and the theories. The body is the doing, and the spirit is the feeling. So if we can do all of those three things when we're in our daily practice, then we are totally like pulled in together to the center. Our days, everything in our days pull us apart, right? Because we all wear multiple hats, doing multiple jobs, different roles. So daily practice pulls us into the middle. And when we're consolidated and we're in the middle, then we're present and we're able then to face every challenge with the whole of ourselves.
What would you classify as a daily practice?
Well, obviously Kung Fu or Tai Chi,
yep.
But for those who don't do that and are looking for to reconnect with the daily practice, there's a principle that I borrow, and that is also, it's in the set of 3.
Yep.
And that is the theory is precise, the method is complex, real Kung Fu comes from practice. So I just want to clarify that Kung Fu in this sense is the true sense of the language, Kung Fu meaning hard work. So theory, practice and hard work. We say in the modern time we are theory, practice, theory, method, grind. All right, they're the 3 things. So if your activity has a very clear theory to it, so music, for example, has a very clear theory, it's very complex, whether you play a musical instrument or whether you use your voice. Complex doesn't mean complicated. Complex means there's lots of different moving parts and coordinations required. And then just hard work, grind in the practice, that is what I would classify as an activity that would fall into the daily practice project.
Cool. Nice. To jump back a bit,
yep.
I noticed in my Kung Fu what has changed for me is that I'm able to get into those tricky molds of a technique a bit better.
Yeah.
I notice I can do stuff and connect to my waist because so much of the Tai Chi is using our qua and getting to our foot. So I find that my Kung Fu can really has really benefited from that. My ma's gone wider as well because I'm just more, I wouldn't say flexible, like I haven't stretched. In my mind, I haven't done those, intense stretching. You sit in those positions and you fold yourself, but I feel like I'm more flexible in my martial arts, if that makes sense. Yeah. All right, cool. Next question then. All right, I hope that was good, Phoebe. This one's from Seeing Brendan. So he says, a topic I'd like to hear about in the fight, flight, freeze response as it relates to training and life in general. I think having a better understanding of ourselves and our own instinctive reaction is quite central to performance in challenging situations. Let me read that sentence again. I think having a better understanding of ourselves and our own instinctive reaction is quite central to performance in challenging situations. More importantly, if we're trying to improve a reaction to a certain situation, then practicing awareness is key. This may be an extension of some topics discussed on the podcast to date. What are our thoughts on that? Fight, flight, or freeze response to challenging situations.
So my response is don't go there. Don't go to fight, flight, freeze.
Yeah.
Because that is our survival instinct.
Okay.
It is there to protect us in life-threatening situations, in times where we're in caveman times where we believe a bear's going to eat us, and we're going to get out of the way of the bear. But often I imagine that for the general public, for majority of the time, we aren't being attacked by bears. So that flight.
The tricky one, hey? Flare.
So the survival instinct. I call it the survival instinct. It's not a tongue twister.
Yes.
Is it's necessary, and we don't need to train it out of us. As a matter of fact, it's not train outable, right? If that's a word.
It's embedded to the
it's
humanness.
Completely. We're starting a new dictionary here. So, my experience is when I've been in my survival instinct, I am dangerous. That's it.
Okay.
And when I see other people in training and in live fighting situations who are in their survival instinct,
I call them stuck.
They're dangerous.
Yeah.
So, I've always been curious as to how because I've always heard as a kid that martial arts is not for fighting. Martial arts is for self-defense.
No mercy.
No. And I think, well, what's that? What is self-defense? And they said, well, if someone does this, you do that. And when you do that, you break their jaw. I said, well, okay. That sounds contradictory, right? I couldn't reconcile that as a kid. And then to add to all of that, we had so much domestic violence at home and so much violence that was being promoted in our school that it was really confusing. Because in one breath, the statement was, back in the 70s and 80s, is that Kung Fu is for self-cultivation, right? And when we say that, it gives us the picture that it's actually about an inward journey because it's self-cultivation. It's like making ourselves better.
Yeah.
But then the evidence that I saw was the total opposite. It was, to be better, I had to beat you, someone else. And to be the best, I had to beat everybody. And to beat means you go down, right? Or give up. So I'll keep going until you give up. And that was very much the culture of it wasn't called the academy back then, it was called the school back then. And it was very much the culture of the school then. But it was very convoluted and very hidden because everyone looked like they were doing self-cultivation. So I had this question in my mind for decades, trying to work this out. I knew that there was something more to it, but I didn't know what that was. And last week I wrote a blog, and my blog was reporting on where I think it is right now, because it's not even, I can talk about it, but it's not in me yet. So it's still under construction. And this is my theory behind it, and that is mind, body, spirit, mental, physical, emotional self. So there's 3 parts. When I'm triggered in my emotion, I instantly go to my survival instinct. When I'm at my survival instinct, whatever I do is about me being the last man standing, which means, in a self-defense perspective, I'm going to do some harm, some real harm. And then when I come out of that, I suddenly realize, oh, goodness, I'm so regretful that I've harmed someone to this point because I don't think it was necessary. But I had no control over myself, and I often hear voices saying, if you didn't that, I wouldn't have done this, right? And it happens even domestically when between partners. It's like you start an argument and say, well, if you didn't say that, I wouldn't say this. And if you didn't do that, I wouldn't have done that, So that response really is no different to a fighting confrontation in a martial sense. And it's not healthy, and it's not helpful, and it's not very loving either. I'm not saying that I'm perfect and I don't do that. I do it too, and that's why I see it. And I think, wow, I'm still doing this. Like, how do I get past this? And it's the same, even like when Isabella triggers her mum and I, and we're kind of saying, Isabella, if you didn't this, then I wouldn't have that. Oh, hang on, I've done it again, right? So it's really hard to break out of that mold because it's the fight, flight, freeze is just, it's embedded into us. So that's my realization. So how do I work myself out of that? To bring myself out of that, I've actually got to head towards my frontal lobe, my frontal cortex, and that's where all the logic happens. It happens immediately when I know what I'm feeling. So if I feel angry and I feel scared, the moment I feel angry and scared, I'm already heading forwards.
Yeah.
I'm heading away from the survival.
Yeah.
If I head forwards, and then once I head forwards, I then work with a principle. Right? So it's no longer about beating you. It's actually about staying aligned. It's all about don't move. It's all about open the kwa. It's all about maintain the chum, the sunken elbow, whatever it happens to be. Control, keep my hands in front of me, maintain my safety, be calm as water on a lake. Jing Maos know what I'm talking about. Whatever that is, it keeps me up the front here. When I'm at the front here, then I have space. I have space in the rest of my brain to then notice and come from a compassionate and empathetic place. So when I'm in that space, the magic can really happen. When tapping into that compassion and that empathy, I then can see the other person on the other side, and the pain and the fear and the sadness that they are also experiencing. That often comes out as anger because that's our protective mechanism. So I always say that if I'm practicing martial arts, I wish to be a responsible martial artist, which means that I take responsibility for myself and know that I have the potential to harm others, and therefore I must train my skill mentally, physically and emotionally so that I am not dangerous and volatile to others. And my theory is that if I know what I'm feeling, the moment I know that, I'm starting to head forward. When I head forward to the frontal cortex and I then attach myself to the principles, the theories and the philosophies, then I leave space for empathy and compassion. And when I have space for empathy and compassion, I can attach myself to that, and then I can see the other person as being a person and not the enemy. So therefore, I become safe.
Yep.
I'm safe, and I'm also safe for the other person.
And that's the skill.
That is the skill.
That's the skill. That goes into, I see, as daily practice, because you're constantly checking with how you're feeling, constantly performing thinking about some principles, sticking to those, constantly performing the motions, the actions, and that embeds that understanding of yourself. Because you keep noticing stuff. And then when you're doing the daily practice project, you ask them to reflect how they're going. And then that again helps them, helps us to think about, how am I going? And that's the inward look again, not, not about how I can achieve the red belt the fastest or whatever it may be. Isn't it?
Yep.
I studied, I'm trying to think of the subject, physical education. And there was, obviously I always talk about fight or freeze. Fight, flight or freeze. And those were constantly talked about. And I don't remember it ever being, this is how you don't do that. It was more of a, this is what the flight is, this is what the fight is, and this is what the freeze is. And in the expert study, these are the things that you may experience. And then it was more about understanding the humanness and how do you apply it to your actions and your sport, and just being aware of that. And I think, once again, that's the inward looking, because you just understand it. That's all you have to do. You know it's there. But how do you work with it in a safe way?
Responsible way.
Responsible way, that's right. So, I think that's it.
Cool.
All right. So Pierce is back with a question. There is a perception that the secrets of Kung Fu and Chinese martial arts are all hidden. That you won't find them at a public school. That the real knowledge is kept for closed doors disciples, or that unless you speak a Chinese language, you are getting a watered down version. I'd be interested to hear you discuss those perceptions and whether you think there is any legitimacy to them in your opinion and experience. For example, the monks you see at the Shaolin temple are just for show, in inverted commas, or are they the real deal doing the real stuff? with all the secrets. He says, especially knowing that the history with only teaching Chinese background people back in the, what was it, 70s? 60s?
Yeah.
With that point of view. So, yeah. Do you believe there's secrets hidden?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There are secrets hidden. But they're easy to find. You just have to practice. No, true. I get why. First of all, Pierce, I am a disciple. Sing Sung is as well, and Simo is. So there's 3 disciples residing in Perth here of Chen style Tai Chi practical method. I have disciples myself of Jing Mo Kun, the Yapsat Tai Chi. I know that what a Yapsat Tai Chi means. So Yapsat means in-house, Tai Chi means disciple. And there's a whole lot of stories around in-house disciples, and then if you're not in-house, you're
outside the house, in the courtyard, in the garden, on the patio, in the outhouse, on the grass.
Yeah, okay. So if you're not inside, you're not inside. I can't talk about other masters or organizations or other arts. I can only really speak from experience of my own.
Yep.
For me, there is no such thing as a secret. But what I do notice is, even if I tell a student something, if they aren't ready for it, meaning they haven't investigated, they haven't practiced, they haven't studied the last lesson, they don't get it.
Yeah.
And so it feels like a secret.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, why didn't you tell me that before? Well, I did tell you before, but you just didn't get it.
It happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I will perform drills, combinations, yilus, and at various stages in a Jing Mo's journey. And I always ask, what did you see this time?
Yeah.
And I on a regular, but not all the time, but on a regular basis, Jing Mo's would say to me, well, there's things I've never seen before. Have you changed the form? Well, no. Have you done any differently? No. And then I would get the extreme one. You added something. You added a new technique. I haven't seen that before. Well, no, I haven't actually. I haven't added that technique. No, you have. I've watched you do this dozens of times, and you've added a new technique. And I have to ask somebody else who is, I guess the gap difference is a bit closer, to say, can you confirm or deny whether I have added a technique today? And I said, no, you haven't added a technique. It's always been there. Now, that's my stand as a teacher. As a practitioner, I can say that it's the same experience for me. That I watch my teacher, so Master Chen, do stuff, and I would think, Shifu, I've never seen that before. Right? And I would have to go back. And I know from my own experience that that's just me not being ready at the time. And I would go back several years and have a look at other content and go, oh, yeah, no, he was doing it back then.
Yep.
It's just I couldn't see it back then because I couldn't compute it. Right? So it's no different to a language. The word is always there and it's always been spoken, but unless I actually learned the language, I've never heard the word before.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So the secrets, yes, secrets do exist, and they're not there to be held back. They're there to be discovered. I don't hold secrets back. I put it out there all the time.
Yep.
And encourage Jing Mo's to take it up and find out, well, how is that true or false?
Yep.
How do you make that happen?
Yep.
How do I learn how to do that? Right? Rather than there's stuff that I'm not going to teach you until the very end. When is the end? When you're ready. Well, when are you ready? So I can see how it can be perceived that there are secrets. For us in the Jing Mo Academy, Yapsat Tai Chi is not someone who gets told more or taught more. It's not someone who has special rights to knowledge that other students don't have. Yapsat Tai Chi in our academy is someone who actually gives more, someone who holds counsel. So it's actually like I'm on Isabella's school's council. So I'm on the board, and my job as a board member, I volunteer my time as a board member to help not manage the school, but help ensure that the school is travelling along the path that is attuned to the intent, the mission, and the goals.
You don't find out more secrets about the school?
No, there's no more secrets about the school. No, there are things I don't want to know. No, true, because then that sways the way how we vote for things.
Yeah.
And it's the same here, the Yapsat Daiji at the academy, and I haven't taken on Yapsat Daiji for many years now, so maybe it's time that it's been brought up again. Actually are members of our council who contribute to the well-being of the academy. Everybody gets taught everything.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody gets taught everything. But the secret is revealed when you practice.
Yep.
Because that's what my experience is. So many things I've discovered about my Tai Chi in the last 90 weeks that I was told about, that I read about, that I watched on YouTube, that I heard about other practitioners telling me, but I couldn't experience.
Yep.
And it's this 90 weeks, I've experienced those things, many more to experience yet. And I'm looking forward to all the other things that I'm going to discover beyond this 100 weeks, because I've only got 10 weeks to go. People are asking me already, what are you going to do after 10 weeks? So there's plenty more for me to discover, and that's what's so exciting about my practice. It just never ends.
Yeah. I think the other cool part is that in knowing that it's there, and not be attached to there's a secret, but because it's said all the time, I find when I finally hear it and can do it, that's the cool part. It's like, I can finally put my elbow in. You've been saying this whole time, sort of thing. And it's less frustrating, but it's cool that way. It's fun that way when you discover it. Cool.
Yeah. I hope I answered the question. Well, we answered the question.
Yeah.
Do you think we have? Oh, monks. That's right. So I started teaching at the Shaolin Temple in 1999 and had taught there annually to the Shaolin monks for 14 years. So there are many Shaolin monks out there who know Jing. We had a very unique opportunity, and we're privileged to host or collaborate in a culture exchange program with the Shaolin Temple. So we went in, myself, and I would take Jingmos with me, to learn Shaolin Wushu directly from the Shaolin Temple, and then we would teach the same monks who taught us Jingmo in return. And they're the real deal. They're not just performers; they can perform. They're world-class performers, but they're also world-class practitioners.
Yeah.
So
I think
it's that simple.
Their daily practice is living there and doing it every day.
Yeah, they do. Remember, like 10:30 at night, they're kids. They're like 9. They're still practicing.
Yep.
And they talk about hard, like they sleep on a mattress on the floor, on a concrete floor.
And I remember watching them run past with their metal bowls and chopsticks going to the kitchen. The kitchen mess, Coming back and finding a spot to sit, eat, and then you see them run off and keep going. Yeah.
Tumbles and backflips and kicks and punches, stretching, weaponry. It's non-stop.
Yeah.
Absolutely non-stop.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, well, next point of the podcast, I think we talked about it last podcast as well. Ali sent through an article from brainpickings.org.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't talk about all of them, so we could just touch base on maybe one, because we're almost time of the podcast, and we can finish with some quotes.
Yep.
So the one I want to talk about today, which I think is quite fitting for practice or being reflective on yourself, and that is... presence is far more intricate and rewarding than productivity.
Presence.
Our culture is the one that measures our worth as human beings by our efficiency, our earnings, our ability to perform this or that. The cult of productivity has its place, but worshipping it at its altar daily robs us from the very capacity for joy and wonder that makes life worth living.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Simo and I were just talking about it at lunch.
Oh.
Exactly that, but in a different context, but exactly the same attachment in our culture to like have a plan, have it all, acquire certain milestones along the way, and we're working on another project at the moment, and I just heard that yesterday, like let's have 5 milestones that we want completed for next week and 10 organizations we want to be working, and that's also known in another language as a very masculine, a very paternal system,
it's fitting for, like this quote, it's fitting for some points,
but
not
everything.
Not worshipping at its altar. I like that bit.
That's right, yeah. And the opposite, obviously, is the feminine or the maternal. And so the opposite for me, the balance is really just going with the flow. It's like it really is about being present and reflecting and questioning what is the most loving choice for me right now. Is the most loving choice for me, like I did yesterday, answering that email, spending 3 hours totally stressed and repeating the same painful cycle that I've had all of my working life?
Yeah.
Or what is the most loving choice for me? Well, the most loving choice for me is in the next, in the time that I have, the next thing I'm going to do is my Yilu count for the morning. Okay, I'll do that first. And I'm going to do it standing in the sun with my hat on, warming up and being present to my body. So for me, I can see how an onlooker would go, oh, Gawain Su's just irresponsible. He doesn't really want to run a business. He's just playing his Tai Chi all the time. He's not serious about operating a business. Why would you, he's not going to be successful. He's not with this, not with that. I can see how someone can be in judgment of decisions like that. But the difference is that I don't use my Yilus to avoid doing the work. It was, what's the most loving choice for me, because I need to do that. And it's so important that I have to do it at the best of my ability.
Yeah.
I want to honor the fact that my accountant has given me this email, has requested I have to complete this work. And to honor him and to honor me, I need to be at my top of the game.
Yep.
What do I need for myself right now to be at the top of the game? Because if I just did it now, it'd just be the same old. And that's the difference.
Yeah.
So going with the flow, often, when I hear people talk about going with the flow, what I think of is baggy pants and a whole lot of incense. And people just go, oh yeah, man, everything's cool. I'm not talking about that. I'm actually talking about being totally in touch with our being and knowing what we need in order to honor ourselves, be loving to ourselves, be kind to ourselves.
Yep.
So that's, for me, that's where I see that. I guess that, not really a question, but where I see that quote to be, it triggers that thought in my mind.
Yeah.
That finding a balance between that masculine and feminine is helpful.
Okay. Yeah. I totally agree with the quote, and continuously throughout the week, balancing between something that is good for me and something that I feel like I need to do in order to tick a box or achieve this and achieve that. And that's constantly a balance. And how can I do my best? So it's like, I feel like there's a scale up and back all the time. But it really works. It's really good. All right. Well, let's end with some quotes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So quotes here I've gathered today says, life has a way of testing a person's will, either by having nothing at all or by having everything happen at once. By Paulo Coelho.
Mm.
Who is that?
He's an author.
Okay. Yeah, cool.
Philosopher.
Yeah. I get that. I feel like many times in my life that has happened where especially the last bit where everything happens at once and I have to do my best and it can be challenging, but then once I pull through that, it's like, wow, I did that. I could do that. It feels really satisfying. What do you think about that quote? Yeah. Can you relate to that one?
Yeah. Yes. Almost daily. Yeah. It's almost everything happens at once, or then nothing happens at all, and then everything happens at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's I see that as just lifing away, doing its thing.
Lifing away.
Yeah. You like that?
I'm not sure that's a good sentence.
Why? Lifing away.
It's not English, mate. Lifing away.
I'm English. Well, I'm Australian.
All right. Next one by Steven Spielberg.
Oh, yes.
In your defining moments, do not let your moral be swayed by convenience or expediency. Sticking to your character requires a lot more courage.
Yes.
So I see that as, in the...
Selling out.
Yeah, selling out, or even relating to that first quote, when things are happening all at once, there's the easy road, or the other one is the hard road.
Yeah. And
not taking the easy way out because, they will get it done, but, take the challenging one and...
Well, in our practice, we practice because we want to obtain certain goals, and it makes sense that we try to do that in the most efficient way.
Yeah.
I remember hearing the voice in my head in the early part of my 100 weeks. The voice was saying, well, how can I do this differently to maximize my time? What if I did this faster? What if I did more of those? What if I did less of that? What if I added this? It was like, hang on. All I'm doing really is avoiding the one road.
Yeah.
The Yilu, the one road, literally. And that's do every step fully and completely, one step at a time.
Yeah.
And that's the fastest way.
It is. But we
tried
add all sorts of ways to make it faster.
Yeah.
All right. I think this one is a good one from our friend Bruce Lee. To me, the extraordinary aspect of martial art lies in its simplicity. The easy way is also the right way, and the martial arts is nothing at all special. The closer to the true way of a martial art, the less wastage of expression there is. It's exactly what you just said.
Is it?
Well, about that one road. It's just that is that simple.
Yeah.
And the more you stick to it, that's as simple as it gets.
Yeah.
We can add all sort of stuff in.
True.
Isn't it? I think that one relates to, if you want to give me the footage of you recording yourself, but this morning's class about grunting and powering up, and rather than focusing on the technique and the intent, and adding all that kind of, I call it wastage, because you're adding all this in where all you need to do is just strike and get to the end of your technique, sort of thing.
True.
Maybe next episode you can give me that one.
Okay.
I'll edit that out and give it and play it back.
Okay.
For everyone.
Cool. Bruce Lee was very eloquent.
Yeah. Very
eloquent speaker. It's excellent. I wish I was that eloquent. I just make up new words all the time.
Lifing away.
I didn't make that one up. I heard that one.
I don't. Is such thing as lifing?
Yeah. Life. When you life, doing life, you're laughing. Okay, so when you laugh, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I don't think it's laughing though.
What are you doing? Just answer my question. When you laugh,
I'm expressing my happiness. I'm expressing my happiness.
Well, so the verb of laugh is laughing. So if life is a noun, the doing of life is lifing. That's the verb.
No. No, mate.
I reckon it is. No. Can somebody dictionary? Oxford.
Can someone dictionary? Yeah, there you go. That's good English. Well, somebody Mitch, dictionary.
Sing Mitch, you're at Cambridge University now. Can you? Maybe there's someone there who's.
He's not at Oxford. He's not at Oxford.
Yeah, Cambridge have a dictionary.
Do they?
That's true. Cambridge dictionary, don't they? Well, thought they do. I'm sure. Okay.
I'm ending the podcast. I'm ending the podcast. All right. Thanks, everyone. That brings us to the end of the episode today. Before we sign off, Dad, any final words?
No.
Words of encouragement?
No.
Cambridge Dictionary. Anyway, you can see some more FuReel content on Instagram, on our YouTube channel. Instagram is FuReel Official, and YouTube is FuReel TV. And also, obviously, now you can watch the full episodes on YouTube of the podcast. So that's good. And once again, whilst you're listening, if you have any questions or wonderings, or want to email us through the Oxford Dictionary or the Cambridge Dictionary PDF, please, you can to our FuReel email address, FuReel@gingmo.com.au, FuReel@gingmo.com.au. That's the email address. Thanks for tuning in again, and we'll see you next episode.
Oh, there is one more thing.
One more thing.
Tai Chi Day coming up Sunday, the 17th of November.
What's the Tai Chi Day?
So we've collaborated again for our second event.
With the town of Cambridge.
There you go. Anyway. With the town of Cambridge, not Cambridge University.
Yes.
To have free to the community an experience in Tai Chi. Sunday the 17th of November. We'll include the link. Can we include the link in the description?
Yeah, 2019 by the way.
Yeah, 2019.
We'll be listening to this in 2020 and
right.
Sunday the 17th. 2019.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good question.
Yeah. Good question. Good comment.
Good comment.
Good English.
Like. Subscribe.
All right. Once again, thank you for tuning in, guys, everyone, and see you in the next episode.
See ya.